please join us in welcoming the director of Micmacs, Mr. Jean-Pierre Genet.
Every time we hear something funny on the real life, we take some notes in the computer, of course. And in the first step of the work, when I found the concept of the film, it's to open the box and to choose the details. And when the box is full of details, at this time we start to write.
It was fantastic, yeah.
Yes, I thought it was really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. Yeah, it was like a French Mission Impossible.
We don't sing, so we have to find our way to build, a song. So we prefer, make atmospheres than make stories with sound. John Carpenter is a master, so there is a lot of good one. And my favorite maybe is The Thing, because it's a very simple movie, but so strong.
I grew up on the Hudson River, and I once swam across the river, and it's always just been a part of my life. This big grand river, right? I could see it from my window as a kid, and so it was merging, my setting with some of my life experiences to fashion a narrative. I wrote it in 2002, and I don't remember the exact genesis of it. Mm-hmm. And it was a hard script to write. I've written several scripts. This was one of the more difficult ones, perhaps because it was dealt with some personal themes. So it probably took a year to write, and then it took another 5 years to bring all the elements together to start filming it.
It's my great pleasure to welcome you this afternoon to a very special event. James Earl Jones. I'm just thinking in terms of some of the truly great directors that you worked with, like a Kubrick or Francis Ford Coppola or John Sayles. What for you distinguishes a great director as opposed to maybe a journeyman director?
I'm not the one to ask. I can tell you the stage experiences I've had where I can cite the director as being instrumental. I cannot quite do that on film because I have not yet had that experience that I can say, that is my legacy.
I just find it fascinating when you say you were a stutterer to then become the most iconic cinematic voice in history. I mean, how do you feel looking back on your career when you started off as mute and now you're so recognised for the voice?
Yeah, I'm a walking irony. But there's several of us. Gwen Verdon, the great dancer, married to Robert Fosse for a long time. She was crippled when she was, I think, before she learned how to dance. Althea Gibson, I think she was a great tennis player. She was a black woman from Mississippi too. Became a great tennis player. A lot of people who inherit or are born with a weak muscle, by exercising that muscle, they make it their strong muscle. Those are walking ironies, and I'm one of them.
So welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much.
I was wondering with the GFT, I feel a lovely warm feeling when I come to the GFT because it was so much a part of growing up.
I grew up near Bala at Ballochloe, and from the age of about 12 or 13 when I could take the train in on my own, I would come into Glasgow and watch films here, and I remember seeing a Tarkovsky film here. It was my first exposure to art film, and I saw Hoop Dreams, which is the brilliant American documentary which followed two kids who want to be professional basketball players. And I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to make a documentary to see in the cinema.
When you look at your TV screen, you see all the time Iraq, and it's a place that's portrayed as a place of death, of iniquity, of war. And it is all that, you know, but it also, those kind of portrayals don't capture the sort of realness of the place, the reality of the place, the fun of the place and everything like that. So me and my team, we decided that we wanted to do something different and re-describe this very famous part of the world. So we went there, brought our own cameras to a little village, filmed with kids during Ramadan, but also give the kids cameras. So it's partly our impression of this incredibly moving part of the world, but also the kids' own portrait of that part of the world. You know, and there's a nice sense of us as filmmakers handing the camera over to them.
Mark's film was absolutely magical and completely captured the sort of ideas of just the imagination of kids.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was the film that Mark Cousins was born to make, probably.
We're particularly pleased to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Gregory's Girl, a film that so perfectly captured adolescent feelings and first love and romance and school days.
The very first day I went along to the youth theatre to join, they were rehearsing a scene from Gregory's Girl. So I knew about it kind of fairly early on. I mean, it was a big part of the youth theatre for years, wasn't it?
We used to meet on a Friday night in Bridgeton for the youth theatre. And one night, the director, John Baraldi, says, I want to introduce you to somebody. This is Bill Forsyth. He's a filmmaker. He wants to make a film with you. And we all sort of went, aye, right you.
After school, I used to have a part-time job as a waitress in a restaurant in Glasgow called the Spaghetti Factory, which was kind of quite legendary at the time. And he was with another director the night I met him. And they said to me, you know, I'm going to make a film. And I was like, yeah, just like you, Rab. You're just like, as if it's the most normal thing in the world for somebody to say to you, I'm going to be making a film. Would you like to be in it? All right, okay.
I don't know that I had many football skills. We did used to kick a ball around with friends just down at the local park. But when I first met Bill, I believe a lady that was working with Bill on the production had worked with me on a commercial where I was dancing, a bit different to football, but she seemingly sort of pointed out that I might be energetic enough to cope.
You know, this was obviously a kind of a higher budgeted film, and it was with Robert De Niro and Drew Barrymore, but you know, essentially, you know, when you make a film, I think as a director, you're not really aware of the amount of money that it's costing. You know, if they're more higher profile actors who are getting paid more money, it doesn't really affect you. Or, you know, it's the same situation. You turn up and you have an actor and you have a crew and you have a story and you have a schedule, and the schedule always seems really tight and impossible to keep to, but you manage to hang in there. So I can honestly say, whether it's a $3 million film or a $30 million film, as a director, as long as you've got the elements, something to film it with, a crew and a cast, then the challenges always feel like they're the same.
The film was based on an original film which was written and directed by Giuseppe Tornatore in 1990, and Marcello played that role. I'd seen the film, of course, and De Niro had seen the film. I think he felt that he had something else to offer. I think he felt that he had a more realistic vision of a father to offer an audience, and I was very keen for him to do that.
I don't think that I make overtly commercial films, but I do like to think that you know, I will continue to make films which have a chance of appealing to a kind of a universal audience, or have universal themes. And on this occasion, it was about family, and I just suddenly thought, you know, whether you have parents or brothers and sisters or kids, you should be able to relate to this film.
It's a psychological thriller about Malcolm Gray, a black ops operative who makes it back from Eastern Europe after a Bosch mission. He locks himself away in a hotel room, and he goes through a process of quest for self-retribution and revenge. And it's basically a character study of a guy going through a cleansing process.
I thought it was fantastic, actually, and a real coup for Glasgow Film Festival, a real coup for Glasgow. It's wonderful, wonderful experience and a wonderful night at GFT.
I thought the film was absolutely fantastic. What did you think of the film?
Yeah, very captivating. Well, I just thought it was very powerful and very, very good.